All right, so we left off doing 27 and 28, and I wanted to show you how to use the calculator. So it was 6P6, so I need to type in the 6 first. That's the n, the number of objects. Then I need to go to math, and I'm going to go over to PRB, and I'm going to go down to 2. That's the permutation, and we were grouping it in groups of 6. So we had 6 objects, grouping them 6 at a time. So the N here is the number of objects, P stands for permutation, R stands for the number of ways we're grouping them. And then we hit enter. So we got 720, and that's what we got on our last video for the answer was 720. Now for 28, we had 7 objects, and I'm going to go to math again. And I arrow over to probability. This time I'm going to go to 3 because it was a combination, and we were combining them with 6. So 7 objects combined 6 different ways. That was, we were grouping them in groups of 6, and our answer is 7. So that's how you use your calculator to calculate the permutation and combination. So back to problem number 29. This is geometric probability. So we have a circular pool is being built inside of a square fence, and your friend has decided to throw things into the fence over her shoulder. What is the probability of it landing inside the pool? Okay, well, we have no calculations here, but landing inside of the pool, that would be the circle. And what do we know out of the entire square? So we know from the center of the circle out to the edge, that's the radius. And that would mean that the entire length of the square would be 2 of the radius. So that gives us our area of pi r squared for the circle. And for the square, it would be side squared. So it would be 2r squared. So that would give me pi r squared over 4r squared. And my r squares would cancel out, leaving me pi over 4. Pi over 4, I'm coming back over to my calculator. Pi over 4 gives me 0.79, actually 0.7854 as a decimal, and then of course multiply it by 100, moves it 2 places to the right, and that gives us 78.54%. So it would be 78.54% that she'd throw it into the pool. And again, how did we do that? We took the area of the circle over the area of the square. The area of the circle is pi r squared. Even though we weren't given a number, we have the formula. The side of the square is 2 r's. So the area formula is side squared, so 2r squared. My r squareds canceled out, leaving me with pi over 4, which was 78.54%. Okay, I'm going to pause the video to move it up. And our last probability problem, you have a bag filled with marbles. There are an equal amount of yellow, green, purple, and gray marbles in your bag. You pull out one marble, then you put it back and pull out a second. You cannot look in the bag, so what's the probability of you pulling a purple marble the first time and a green marble your second time? Okay, well, there's an equal amount. So I could pull one marble out of every 4. And the fact that I'm putting it back makes it an independent event. So when I pull out a green marble, it still has the same chance, 1 out of 4, because all of the marbles are in there. And when we have a compound event, such as pulling 2 different events, a purple and a green, then we multiply them together. So we get 1/16. So the probability of pulling a purple one and then a green one is 1/16. Okay, writing the equation of a circle. This should be fresh. It's x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. That means the center is going to be hk. And again, notice the opposite signs because they are opposite of each other. Either way, if you go equation to center or center to equation, you take the opposite signs. And then r is the radius. In the equation, it's r squared. So in order to get r, we have to take the square root of it to get r. Now, write the equation of a circle with a center of -3, 2. That means in the equation, I'm going to put the opposite signs. So in the equation, I'm looking for a +3 and a -2. +3 and a -2. So that eliminates A and C because they are not the opposite signs. Okay, if the radius is 8, then that means I have to square it. So it's not going to be 8, it's going to be 64. So that eliminates B and gives me D as the equation. Okay. Write the equation of a line with center 7, -9, and a radius of 3. Again, I'm going with the opposite signs. So I need a -7 and a +9. -7, that doesn't apply. -7, +9, yes. -7, +9 does not apply at C, and it does at D. Radius is 3. That means I need to square it for the equation. And I get 9. So that eliminates D and makes B my equation. The point 75 lies on a circle with center -5, 9. What's the equation of the circle? Okay, well, here I don't have the radius, but I have 2 points, and from the center to the point is the radius. So I'm going to use the distance formula, and that's going to be based on this one here, the Pythagorean theorem. We've had the distance formula earlier in the year, and it's x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared, and again that's based off of Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So I am going to take my x's, that's going to be -5 minus 7 squared plus the difference of my y's, 9 minus 5 squared. I get -12 squared plus 4 squared. I get 144 because whenever you square a negative, it is positive. Don't put that in the calculator either. You cannot put -12 squared in the calculator and get the correct answer. Why? Because it's taking that negative sign separately. It's not putting it with the square. In order to properly square a negative number, you have to put that number in parentheses first. Then it groups it together, because that's what parentheses do. They group it together and then square it. 4 squared is 16. Add them together and I get 160. The square root of 160 is r. Okay, since I have my center, I know this is my h and k. It somehow changed thickness on me. Okay, so this is my hk with the opposite signs going into the equation. So I need +5, -9. This is not positive 5. That is on B. No, C is not a positive 5. That is on D. I do have a negative 9 on both. If my R is square root of 160, then the equation I need to square it, which is going to eliminate the square root sign. So it is going to be 160 for R squared. And that's going to give me B as my answer. Okay, so this ends the review, and you now have every single question on the review worked out. Everything's gone over, so good luck on the final.